Hey, IT Nation, Sean Lardo here with another episode, segment, installment of the Wise Up podcast. I'm on with my good friend, Matt Topper. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. We could have an issue. There's no coffee at all on my desk. Not Dunkin', not homemade, not anything. So we'll see how it goes. But beyond that, everything's good. There's some water over here. Maybe I should drink that.
Drink some water, so, yeah.
But no, everything's good.
Good. So for those that are watching us for the very first time and asking themselves, what is the Wise Up podcast? Would you mind shedding some light on what this is?
Yeah, so the Wise Up podcast is a way to get some utility, some face time, get to meet some people who have a lot to contribute to the space, have been there sometimes behind the scenes, and get exposed to people who aren't just the typical conference speakers, the people you see at every event, the people walking around, and learn from their experience, learn what they're doing, and hopefully take away something that you can use to implement in your business from it.
Fair. And I also think that the one thing that I've learned from being involved in the space for so long, everybody has something to offer of education or experience that we just everyone does, right? And it's about the most various things that you may not think you even need. It's like you don't know what you don't know. And then all of a sudden somebody gives some really cool advice on something, you're like, oh my Lord, never thought about that.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Some of these people that we come on are experts in things like how to talk to customers or how to network or like stuff that's not just how to run your business, but things that you can use all the time.
Right. And also like even like the thing, like don't eat the Tachis because they really taste horrible. And then I try and make, you know what? You were right. They do taste horrible. Or Takis.
That's good advice too.
They're horrible.
Have we had someone say that?
Yeah. Well, it told me about it because we were it was horrible. Anyway, so enough of us on our rambling. Today's guest, this is again, for me, I love these episodes because this is yet another one of the PitchIT 2025 cohort competitors. So I get to watch them get involved. I get to watch them be interviewed and watch how they develop and improve over time, their interview skills, their presentation skills, and everything. So excited about our guest for today. In the green room, we were talking about the difference between upstate New York and everything else, but we're not going to get into that. And because I have two very biased, because when we bring him on, he's going to be very biased also, because you guys think everything is New York City is the nucleus of life, and it's not. But without further ado, let's bring on today's guest, Chris Keat from Hirexe and 2025 PitchIT contestant.
Sean and Matt, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Chris, the first question I have is, did your parents intend on you being a country music star by giving you two first names?
So that's a great lead off. I think that potentially, so do you want to know a fun fact, Sean, actually, that leads into this? And this is, so I have been lucky enough to be on stage at a bunch of MSP events through the experience at Zorus. And it's funny, generally you like to ask some sort of a leading and engaging question when you're up there. And the icebreaker is always, we're family friends with the Swifts, as in Taylor Swift. So my mom and her mom are best friends. Our dads had worked together way back in the day. We legitimately, like I've bathed with her when we were younger. Like we went to the beach and everything like that. So sadly, she ended up becoming the country music star. I did not. I went the business building route, but I guess there's a little bit of a connection there.
So you're saying she doesn't return your calls anymore?
Sadly not. No, her and Travis have gotten too serious at this point, I suppose.
She's like, Chris Keat, who? You remember we grew up together. Our parents are, who? I don't know who that is.
Just someone trying to get free tickets now.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Some guy. Leave me alone, weirdo. So that's awesome. So, okay. So that's a lot to unpack. We can go down. That could be a whole episode. We're not going to go there. So
that's a good fact.
Yeah, it is a good fact. So aside from that, and you went through business building, let's give a little more background on actually who you are and what you do here. All right. If you don't mind.
Yeah. So yeah, quick background. I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I've been in the professional world for about 15 years. Started off in enterprise sales, worked with a lot of small to medium-sized businesses as well throughout that entire process. Built teams as I was doing that, and I quickly realized if you build the right teams and you bring the right people on board, you can focus on other things. So that transitioned into starting my own companies. I started building overseas teams because I realized, there's really good talent all over the world that you don't necessarily have to pay US rates. So that's happened for a few years. And then I actually got in the channel 5 years ago through Zora. So was fortunate enough to work really closely with Austin McCord. He was the chairman of the board at that company. Spent a lot of time in the channel, met a lot of MSPs, and brought me to my current opportunity, which is Hirexe, which I think we'll chat a little bit about now, where I'm truly solving the people problem for the channel. We can get into how.
That's awesome. So now, how long has Hirexe been around for now?
Hirexe been around. It was 2 years at the end of June, actually. So we've made it through the toughest 24 months to begin.
Yeah, I mean, let's just go right into that. How did you decide to start this new company, and tell us a little more about what it does and what it solves for?
Yeah, certainly. So I think, as I mentioned, I've always been very much a people person. And I think Ken Patterson actually says it best. He goes, you don't build the business, you build people, and people build the business. And I think for any company that I've, or any team that I've built, or any company that I've scaled, and I think like you guys could probably relate to this too, is if you have a problem and you find the right person to fit that mold, that problem immediately goes away. So that's always been something that's extremely like exciting or important to me. But the hiring process is relatively broken as well. So like whether you're applying for jobs or you're actively looking for jobs, it's extremely cumbersome. It's kind of difficult. I don't know, like if you guys have worked with recruiters, there's a lot of good recruiters out there. There's a ton of recruiters that aren't that great out there. And prior to about 2021 or 2022, they were able to capture a ton of mind share on individuals, which was like frankly structuring unstructured data about people's personalities. Well, post AI, we're actually able to structure a lot of that and do a much better job of matching the right people with the right opportunities at the right times. So that's exactly what we're doing with Hirexe, is we're leveraging that sort of technology to get the channel final round candidates that have specific experience with MSPs, et cetera, quickly.
So, okay. I'm actually familiar with the recruiting world. One thing I realized, one of the big challenges of the recruiting world was the ones that didn't have access to full information, and that full information being from both the company looking to hire or look for the outsource, and also from the people they're trying to recruit themselves. Do you help with that at all in any way, shape, or form with that solve?
We do, yeah. So I think anytime that there's an individual or a person in the loop, Sean, there's data is going to be lost, and frankly, that's a path of resistance, and that's a failure point. So what we've done with the platform is completely automate the entire thing on both sides, and AI is helping us a ton with this. So on the supply side or the candidate side, and thanks, you also had specified, we're focused specifically in South Africa right now. And just a couple seconds why. If I heard the story once, I heard it 250 times as I was talking to MSP. So my background is software. When I first started Hirexe, I had this broad vision of, I'm going to fix the hiring problem, guys. And we have AI now. We're going to capture all this information. We're going to find perfect fit candidates. And if I talked to, again, one MSP, I talked to 200 of them, and they said, yeah, Chris, awesome. If you can do that, you're going to make a lot of people happy. But that's a tough problem to solve. This is what we need right now. We need qualified people that are familiar with the technologies, the ConnectWise PSA, everything along those lines. We need them to have that it factor. It's where they're technical, but also they're dynamic and they're on the phone and they can speak great English. And then number 3, if they check boxes 1 and 2, they're reasonably priced. Enter South Africa. Really sophisticated from an IT standpoint. The unemployment rate for folks under 34 years old is 46%. So there's about 60 million people over there, a sophisticated workforce that speaks English natively, that frankly is looking for high quality jobs. So we've standardized over there for the talent pool right now.
So how does this work from, like, I'm trying to think, when I hire people, I don't necessarily feel like they do a good job of defining like what, no matter how good the resume is, right? You really only know when the interview comes around. And honestly, it's the same problem on the other side, right? Half the time the job description isn't really a good indicator of what you're actually looking for until the person shows up and they start working. Like, how do you bridge that?
So that's a great tee up, Matt. I appreciate it. What I would say, or what we joke around about, and I think you guys will agree with this, it's our job oftentimes to get to know as fast as humanly possible. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of like candidates oftentimes that apply for roles. And like at my last job at Zorus, for instance, we were a cybersecurity company. We just had funding. When I would post a job, we'd get thousands of applicants in 4 to 8 hours. And then it was all on me to sift through all those applicants and figure out which ones made the most sense. What we're doing is we're leveraging AI to take care of all that for our channel partners. So my team has actually processed through about 265,000 South African applicants, and we've approved about 900 of them to the platform. Now, through that application process, folks are going through, they're uploading their resume, they're uploading they're putting their LinkedIn in there. They're actually going through video interviews. They're putting in additional personal information. And essentially, because I know what the channel is looking for, and I've taught my team, and frankly, we actually have a bunch of folks that have either worked directly at MSPs or for MSPs. We know what the channel is looking for. We're able to process through and approve the folks that we know are going to make the most sense for the channel and help like leverage AI and technology at large to get us to that point where we're letting the right people on the platform.
Are you helping them understand how to, well, kind of add into the question there. There's a lot of bad job descriptions out there, a lot of bad understanding of responsibilities, especially in the startup world too, because they don't know what they need. They think they need one thing, but then I just had this conversation the other day. Like there was a company looking for, like, we're looking for an engineer, like a sales engineer or something. So I started talking to them, and as I was talking to them, I was like, well, it sounds like you need like an account manager, or you need to find somebody who can bring net new business in. They're like, well, they can do that too. And I'm like, that now we're right. You just change the responsibility, which changes the title, which also changes the compensation. So, do you help the companies and the person you're recruiting, or do you get involved, and how do you go about doing that?
Certainly. Yeah. So on the candidate side, I think, as you might also imagine, I'm sure resumes differ from state to state, from the North versus the South. And as you might imagine, overseas, we see a lot of different types of resumes and layouts in general. So when you go through on the candidate side, you go through our process, we actually standardize everything, and we put together what we call a real CV. And then that includes a couple aspects of the video interviews. We standardize exactly what the layout looks for. And of course, it's completely optimized for the US market because, based on channel feedback, that's what we do. The other aspect that we're able to help out with, because Sean, as you also know, like there's all sorts and there's all sizes of MSPs out there. We have partners that are, 1 or 2 or 3 person shops. And then there's a few that we work with that, hire 5-10 people at a time, and they employ 1 to 5,000, people at a shop.
Sure.
So one of the aspects that I personally am able to help with, and frankly, my team, because we know the channel like pretty well, is we can coach folks up on all those aspects too. So whether that is putting together, hey, I'm stretched thin, I'm interested in some sort of an administrative assistant, but I only think I could fill 40% of their time. What could we do for the rest of that time frame? We can help people put together job descriptions, or even help lay out their day. But also, like, if it's outside of, because usually with the technicians, people know exactly what that job looks like. But with the account management or customer success, all that sort of stuff, that's absolutely something that we help our partners work through, just because we see a lot of it.
Right.
And this is for the the entire staff, right? Not just technicians, salespeople, VCIOs, whatever you're calling VCO in your world. Let's not even go down that road.
That's
everything. Okay.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Maybe you should create an encyclopedia or a dictionary of sorts to define what titles should be, considering you're in the field. Like VCIO should be doing these things. Sales rep should be doing these things. CEO should be doing these things. And owner should be doing these things. That'd be great. That'd be a good book. I think lots of people would get value out of that.
I think so. So it's interesting, Sean, too, on the company side, right? Because we're putting together this little marketplace. Obviously, you have supply, that's the South African candidates. and the demand, that's the company searching for jobs. So we actually built, it's a GPT style interface. And again, like we know the channel. Most people certainly don't want to talk to Chris. They don't want to talk to a recruiter. They want an end-to-end solution where they can get really specific with, drop in your job description. And then what we do is we pull from our database and make, best fit recommendations based on exactly what they're looking for. So it's odd that you say, or it's funny that you say that, Sean. There's been a few circumstances where people drop in the job description and then they get recommendations, frankly, that match that job description, but it's not what they're looking for in a candidate, which opens us up to having that conversation. Like, what, like this, our technology is pretty dialed. What you should consider is changing the job description or rethink this role because it's not exactly what you might have thought it was going to be initially.
Right. Well, and I have one more thing and then I'll shut up, Matt, I promise. How do you account for not just the title, but also culture fits? Because there is, you can be the best at what you do, and my company can be the best at what it does, and I could have a need for your skill set, but the personality is the challenge sometimes. So how do you account for that?
Yeah, so that's the nicest thing about how we're able to leverage generative AI in the background. First of all, that like those video interviews, you can see how people present. You can hear how they speak and how engaging they are. The other thing that's nice is when we walk our candidates through that 15-minute onboarding, when they're creating that real CV, we're asking them a ton of additional questions about personality type, about what they do outside of their working hours. We're scraping the internet for everything that exists on them. And then we are structuring all that information in that data. So oftentimes we'll have, like, for instance, like a specific example would be one of our MSP partners said they really like employing folks that have some sort of a nonprofit or some sort of volunteering experience outside of their day-to-day job, because that shows they go above and beyond, they're empathetic, they care. We're able to capture all that information in that real CV. And we actually have like a small portion that's like strictly dedicated to who the person is outside of working hours. Because that's something that in prior static resumes, that wasn't captured whatsoever. And that's a huge part of who people are, and especially like when they're going to be on your team, an extension of your team.
So you talked about a couple of things describing the process, both from the candidate side and from the company side. Can you just very briefly, like, just give a quick overview? Like, if you're a job seeker or you're a company, what does the process look like? Like, you know, from just found your website to starting to actually see if you're a match for things. What's it look like?
Yeah. So I'd say first and foremost, everything is completely free. I know the channel, and I know that we all like to try before we buy. I mean, I'm a big believer in the best businesses are solved by like solving a problem that you had in the past and then just scaling that out. You're handsomely rewarded for stuff like that. So you just go to the website, hirexe.com. If you are a company, you do the company sign up. We made it really easy. You just drop in your LinkedIn profile. We create everything for you on the back end. If you're hiring, we're actually going to pull the jobs individually and then start making best fit recommendations without you having to do anything yourself. And then on the candidate side, also extremely straightforward. Just hirexe.com. You click that you're a candidate, you're looking to apply, and then that starts you through that 15-minute progression. But creating that profile is completely free too. So what we're doing, and frankly, all those applicants that we're working with in South Africa, if you're maybe not a fit for the channel or you're not a fit for one of the roles that we have available right now, you still have that online, that real CV that's available that you can send to anyone at any time. It's going to be like a nice, crisp, tight, resume 2.0 that's applicable for jobs.
Fantastic. So we've heard all the horror stories. We've all been part of it, actually, even, right? Of length of period to hire, finding the right candidates, and then also candidates taking so long to find a position. What should be a realistic expectation for the hiring party to be able to find the candidate and hire and get them started? What's a realistic expectation on time frame for that all to take place?
Yeah.
What should it be? What should be the standard? Because I know there is one. Yeah.
So another great question. I have the metrics for the at least in the US at large. So first of all, just to put this in perspective, the market is massive. US alone last year, this isn't just the IT channel, but all hires, 65 million hires made just in the year of 2024 at an average salary of about $62,000. So that's 4 trillion in salaries that are paid just in the US, just in the year 2024. So it's a big, big market. Now, of those, 93% of companies were unhappy with that process in one way or another. So you have this massive market that the majority of people are unhappy. Now, why is that? Because if you're a company and you're hiring, on average, there's 80 to 90 touch points between the person, the candidate, the person that you want to hire, and the hiring manager. 80 to 90 touch points. Average time to hire, Sean, is 44 days. So it's a long period of time. And it's cumbersome on both sides. Now, when you work with Hirexe, and what Hirexe stands for is that new hiring experience, our goal is to only present those final round candidates. So 80 to 90% of the work that leads you up to getting to those final round interviews or the very last touch points, we're doing all that for you. So on average, this is going to sound a little bit crazy, but our average time to hire after the first interview for all of the first half of the year was 5 days and 9 touch points. So we're really proud of that. We want to continue to do more of that sort of thing.
Hold on, Matt. I have one follow-up.
Go ahead.
Now you said, okay. So, okay, obviously there are touch points, but how much of that work is happening behind the scene before it takes place? Because obviously we didn't just absolve you from the 90 touch points and the 7,000 years of work it takes to get the one person hired. So there's obviously work done, but how do you make that happen that way?
Yeah. So the analogy that I use here is you guys know, like when you see a duck floating on a lake, he's just floating right on, but there's a lot happening behind the scenes. That's my team. Exactly. So what we're able to do is leverage technology very, very heavily. So we've gotten to the point now through network effects, we have a bunch of high quality folks that are going through that application process with us over in South Africa on the hiring side. And then we're able to, again, approve which people make the most sense. So we have like the majority of it, I'd say 90% of it is technology based, but then my team is taking a final overview. We do like final screening calls, et cetera. But then on the matching side, again, it's not perfect just yet. It'll never be perfect. Software never is. We're constantly iterating. But on the matching side, that's being pretty heavily leveraged by technology now. So it's not as much of that human touch, though. Of course, when we do get specific, we'll get involved there.
Sure.
But we're making it seem really easy for you, that the duck floating on the water.
It does. It really does.
I just can't get over 5 days. I'm sitting here thinking, like, how bad the channel must be when I heard 44 and said that's not that bad either.
Yeah, so I mean, just like a recent example, because sometimes it's faster. We had someone sent me an email on a Sunday afternoon, and by first thing Monday morning, we had 3 people that he was interviewing with, or that he could have interviewed with. He interviewed with them on Monday afternoon. They started Wednesday morning. So that was like literally from reaching out to actually beginning at the organization. That was pretty quick, but usually from first interview to deciding that they're going to hire, it's that 5 days.
So you're actually becoming a trusted resource, though. So the person that you're bringing gets the benefit of the doubt already, because that's a quick process, which means your vetting is what people are paying for ultimately, is how you vet the candidate.
That's exactly right.
It's like a 5-star Amazon review.
Bingo. Yep.
Like I've been in so many orgs that it takes basically an act of God to get the rec posted, and 3-4 months for it to actually get filled. That's nuts.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think as you guys know, like one of my favorite saying is like, listen less to what people say and watch what they do. I'd say with 3/4 of all of our MSP partners as well, the nice thing is, people, for folks at least that haven't done the outsourcing route before, or they haven't worked with overseas folks, they'll dip their toe in their water with one. 3/4 of our partners have already hired more than one resource. So one person gets in, they do a great job, come back for more.
So that makes your job way easier than at that point. It means that you laid a great foundation. Now you're expanding into the account.
Yep. And it also goes back to, Sean, as you said earlier, at that point, we know the archetype, we know the type of person that they want to hire. Because if we have one, it was a resounding success, it worked out great, we can just like, okay, let's find someone very similar to that, sort of personality profile, technical skill set. We can plug that right in. So everyone wins.
I couldn't agree more. Good, Matt.
All right. Well, I think we're about out of time. We should probably start wrapping up. I think we're over time, which is a good sign that the conversation is going well.
Yes.
So Chris, we always ask our guests on the show to end with one question. That is in the form of a habit, right? Something that you should start doing or something you should stop doing. What advice do you have for organizations trying to improve their hiring processes, or maybe for candidates looking to try and shorten the cycle? Like, what's your the soapbox is yours. What's your advice to the world?
Thanks. I would say another great saying is, if I was tasked with cutting down a tree, I would spend 90% of my time sharpening the axe. And how I think that relates to hiring is, oftentimes before you just post a role and start interviewing folks, like, be very specific with what that job function is going to do. Be very specific about what that person is going to need to do. Be very specific about, okay, this is exactly the type of person that I want. I think the better idea of exactly what you need and want to fill that particular role. Number one, you're going to find a better option to fit that role. But then number two, you're going to put them in a better position to succeed, because you're going to be specific with exactly what it is that they need to do, the objectives that they need to make themselves successful. And then you're going to find the right person with the right skill set to check all those boxes. So spend a little bit more time and know exactly what you're looking for on the front end, and that generally works.
I couldn't agree more. And that's why I asked you about the whole culture part too, because sometimes it's just check boxes of, we need this person to do this, this, and this. But they don't realize that there's a whole A, B, and C is great, but there's the back end of the alphabet that you really need also, which is that culture, personality type. Because are you looking for your future leader? Or are you looking for a consummate role player? There's a big difference. And it's a struggle point, because if you hire the person has the right experience, but the wrong intent in the job, you're going to lose them anyway. Or it's going to be miserable for both of you, because I might be coming in the door thinking, I want to be in charge of this department soon. Let me learn, give me upward mobility. You may be thinking, well, Sean looks great on paper. He can just get the job done, what we need. That's a 6-month job at that point.
That's exactly right.
It really is. How many people have come and gone in 3 to 6 months because they didn't align with where the company was really going and where they could go.
Yep.
It's very few and far between. Very few and far between that I see MSPs interview people and say, what is your career path looking like? What would you like to do? Typically, there's like,
seriously,
right there, you're filling a spot. You got the credentials. I love it. You're certified in this. I need that. You have these. Let's go. The biggest negotiation is the comp.
That's right.
It's not about future of anything, and that's always a telltale sign that they're obviously not concerned about what you got going in the future. They're just playing catch up right now and trying to stay moving as a business. That's it. So I love the whole concept behind it. I think you're dead on with figure out who you are, figure out what you're trying to accomplish, and then go out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's just like anything. There's two things I wanted to pull out of that conversation. One is, like, it's, again, define your requirements up front, just like any software project, right? The requirements are really the more important thing. And two, we got to pull out that quote, Sean looks good on paper, for the future blooper reel. I'm saving that, buddy.
Well, it's not my head, because it wouldn't have fit on the paper, but yes. I love that. So yeah. Anyway, thanks, Matt, for calling that out. It's a good call out.
You're welcome.
Now time we can hear it and make sure it's there. Anyway, Keith, thank you for your time. It was a great conversation, minus Matt. Everything else is great.
I'm here to help.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Always a pleasure. And the entire PitchIT experience has been fantastic. You guys are the best. Really, really appreciate you.
Yeah. How do you feel about your chances?
Oh, I'm going to win it, obviously. Couldn't be any more excited, number one, but number two, confident. Because we're solving a problem, it's working, and the fact that you guys are giving us a stage and an audience to help, I think goes a long way. So I'm excited to get more active.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, all you contestants, you all heard it here first. Chris is winning. Taylor Swift won't return his calls, but he's winning the competition and hopes that she will return his calls once he wins the competition.
Momentum, my friends. Can't be
She only
stopped.
wants winners.
That's
and,
right.
and Kelsey, he lost the Super Bowl, so he's not really a winner right now. So, maybe if you're saying there's a shot. Saying there's a chance. All right, cool. That's all I got. Matt, anything else you got here for us?
No, thanks for coming on. It was a good time and good conversation.
Absolutely. All right, well, until the next time, y'all. Bye.